The thing about this game, just like any other game, is you have to know what your stuff is on guard. There's a difference between being moves landing on hit and on guard, obviously. When you have a move that lands on guard, it's going to have different data. Like, that move is 0 on block, as you can see on guard. But if I were to do... It's +8 on hit. Now, most moves in Tekken, that not all of them, but there's a big chunk of moves in Tekken that if it lands on hit, you're going to get frame advantage, right? Why the fuck are you guarding, you fucking light-skinned motherfucker? Alright, my down forward 1 is +5 on hit. But if you see, on guard, it's -1. So a lot of moves that land on guard in this game that are mid are generally either going to be negative or plus, depending on what the hit stun is looking like, the block stun is looking like on guard. So like you got like running 3. Clearly, when a character goes like this in a fighting game, with certain circumstances aside, you're most likely going to be plus, right? If I do this shit to you, there's a huge chance that something that I do after that is going to fuck you up if you try to mash. So understanding the difference between moves hitting you on normal hit and on counter hit and on guard are very different. There's multiple different states in fighting games. Like if I do my 4-4, 3+4 on hit, that's 0 on hit, right? You know what I mean? A lot of lows in Tekken are going to give you slight frame advantage, knock you down, or just give you a slight disadvantage. You really have to learn the difference between all of those. And the way you do this is you just kind of go into the lab like I'm doing and look at the math of your moves. Like, as you can see, my 1-4 is +1 on hit. Obviously, if you were to guard that, it would have completely different math behind it, right? So you got to learn like what your best tools are on guard, on hit, and on counter hit. Obviously, in this game, when you land on counter hit, it's most likely going to do some kind of a launcher. Like, if I were to hit you with this move on normal hit, as you can see, he just flops away like that. But if I put it on counter hit, damn it. As you can see, it causes an entirely different animation. You get a combo. So, and the annoying thing about Tekken 8 that is really annoying to learn is knowing what moves that you do in heat that are going to cause a whole different amount of data. This is something that I haven't even perfected yet. Knowing what your moves are doing on guard and on hit or whatever it is on heat, depending on the circumstance, that's a whole different thing. So obviously when you go into heat, your stuff does something completely different, right? If I do, let's just say I do this move on guard and heat. Damn it. I forgot to set them back. Let's say I do this move on guard when I'm in heat. It's going to have a completely different property if I weren't to be in heat. To be honest with you, it seemed kind of overwhelming, but that's why I always tell people if they're going to learn Tekken, especially this game, you really want to take your time and not learn too many fucking characters at once. The reason why I think that it's easier to pick up characters in this game is because of the way the system works and because it's easier to lab because of the replay system. But you have 4 different fucking states you have to understand. You know what I'm saying? So, as you can see, because I'm in heat and I turn that into a heat engager on guard, it's +5, right? If I were to do this move by itself, it's -6. So all of these things have to be understood and learned. I only really understand what's going on here because the game gives you visual triggers. 9 times out of 10, from what I'm understanding, I don't know any negative scenarios where this happens. But 9 times out of 10, if somebody heat engages you on guard with a move that wouldn't do so otherwise, it's going to be plus of some sort, right? Like I have this move here. -8. Show you again. +5. I wonder, I'm curious myself to see if it changes if I don't engage him. -8. So I don't know if that's the same across the board, but for this situation, it's the same unless you heat engage. So there's a lot, you have to really understand everything that your character is doing, you know what I mean? But outside of getting in too deep with the whole heat engager and stuff like that changes, talking about playing this character from a basic level and a basic understanding, you only have so many moves that you really need to be using at a neutral level. You have your jab, which I always tell people to use a lot of jabs in Tekken, especially because unless somebody crouches under this shit on like frame 1, you're generally going to be safe to throw out jabs. You know what I'm saying? Jabs are good, and they're also plus on guard. And that's usually your one jab. 2-1. This move is super good. Super good. As you can see, if you get hit by the first part, the second part is guaranteed on hit. And it's +8 on hit. If he guards it, it's completely safe and there's nothing they can do about it. They can take their turn back and pressure you, but this is Tekken 8. As soon as you try to take your turn back, bitch, I'm going to smash you over the head. So you got to learn what your best options are to keep you safe and also to be able to play offense, right? This move right here is super good. It's a counter hit launcher. It has a lot of pushback on it. If I'm not mistaken, let me just double check this before I give you wrong information. Okay, it's -9. You're not punishing that at all. I don't know if they changed that from other Tekken games because I used to get clapped depending on the character that I was fighting. But you're not punishing -9. So you can throw this out. It's a mid. It's a counter hit launcher. It's got a large amount of pushback on it, which means that you can start throwing out jabs to keep people at bay if they try to come in with bullshit. You can power crush. You can trigger your heat. You know what I mean? This is a really good move. It's got a really, really, really good hitbox on it, too. Really fucking good hitbox. I love using this move, especially if people extend their hitbox. It'll connect like a motherfucker. Like, it'll barely miss if the person's kind of standing there. Like, it's got a really, really big hitbox on it. DF1 is a bread and butter. You got to use that move. A good way to use DF1 is if you'll have a lot of people that like to mash buttons from disadvantage. They'll do some shit like this and then try to jab you after it. Like, they'll try to come out and jab you after it. If you DF1 Lars out of this on guard, you're going to hit him. Unless your character's DF1 is one of those high mids. If Lars does this to me and tries to do anything out of it, I'm going to DF1 him. He can block it, but it's a check. You know what I'm saying? And Tekken, this game is big on checks. It's not really like big on punishment as it is checking people to punish them. You're not always going to get a big punish because a lot of this shit is safe on guard. Not to mention, this also has extensions. You can hit 2 after it, which is a high crush. As you can see, it's -9 on guard, which is completely safe. You're not unsafe until you're -10. He has a low option out of it, which as you can see, I want to hit him with this shit, but I'm going to have to hit him with it. Fuck, man, the hitbox on that move is crazy good. Fuck. So as you can see, it's +4. You can't press after that. But why are you going to press after -4? And because he's in a pretty fucked up force crouch situation, if you try to move, I'm going to clobber you. You know what I mean? You got to understand, too, when your character's in a force crouch in this game, and you're getting hit by certain stuff, your options are very limited. You can try to step, but then I'm going to clobber you because you're -4 and you're trying to walk, you're really negative. You're like -14, 15 at that point. If you really want to try to get technical with the frames and shit. So you got this, really good move. Your DF1 is really good. It's -1 on guard. So, -1 on guard is really fucking good in Tekken, for sure, because you can move after that. If I hit you with like a jab DF1, I can step after that. You know what I mean? Jab DF1, I can step after that. I can keep taking my turn. I can jab DF1 into a power crush, jab DF1 into a heat smash. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different stuff you can do right there. Not to mention, this move has some really good range on it, believe it or not. Like, it's got, as you can see, he kind of lunges forward with it. It's going to clip people from a really good range. So don't be afraid to throw out DF1. And on startup, it's 13 frames. So check it out. You start fucking with the math. You got a jab here that, as you can see, I'm trying to get him to... My jab is, like I said, is +1 on guard. I start doing shit like this. Now you're in kind of like a frame trap loop. Because you have 1 frame to work with there unless you're just going to do some crazy crush or you're going to do the same thing as me. The #1 way to beat somebody who's doing shit like this, when they start doing shit like this, if I'm -1, that means that if you do anything but a jab, you're going to get hit for the most part unless you move. You know what I mean? It's really important to know the math. And in Tekken, other than a couple characters like Leroy who got fucked with their DF1, DF1s are generally going to be going back and forth here. Not every character has a 13-frame DF1. Some characters like Leroy, again, they got slow-ass mids. So you got to look at what your character's options are. I love this move. As you can see on counter hit, it gives you a knockdown, right? You can do stuff like this. You probably get something guaranteed from here. I don't really know what it is, because when you get that on counter hit, if I get this on counter hit, I'm going into stomp, right? This is going to have to duck right there. Or I'll get this on counter hit and I'll go like this, which we're going to go over that in a second. That's really important to know. Let's see. We got back 1. Back 1's a really, really good move. As you can see, it's 15 frame startup. That little, you see that little circular thing that's happening? Not all moves have that, just like 4-3-3. You can see it on 4-3-3-2. Let me hit him over there. You can see it on 4-3-3. You see that little circular thing? That means that the move homes. That means if you try to move at all, upwards or backwards, you're going to get clobbered. Same thing with this move here. Same thing with back 1+2. Back 1+2 is the same way. He's got a couple of homing moves as well. I would not recommend using this move. This move is booty butt cheeks. You want to stop people from trying to sidestep you a bunch? Back 1, you got forward 3-3. You've got grabs track in this game, so that means don't be afraid to throw out throws if you got people stepping. Make them break that shit. You know, don't be afraid. Not to mention, Lars can grab you out of his dynamic entry. You might be able to do it here. There it is. Okay. So there's useful combos for this. You know what I mean? His shoulder. So bink. So it does have some use. And also, too, it doesn't hurt to throw that in there and fuck people up with every now and then. You can catch people off guard with this. Another good move I like to... Well, no, I don't want to... I want to finish going over down 2. So as you can see, this move is 0 on guard. 0 on guard is super good. Meaning, we're playing the same neutral we were just playing before I did this shit. The issue is that, as you know, in fighting games, when if people don't know the math behind something, if they get hit on guard and it's not causing one... Like, if it's not causing, like, a crazy... block stun like this. Shit. If it's not causing a crazy block stun like this, people generally will try to hit a button because they don't know any better. This move doesn't have a crazy block stun. This move is also really good because it causes you to get put into force crouch. You know what I mean? So, once I do this to you, the good thing is that Lars is standing. That means that I have access to all of my fastest options, and you can only do like a while staying attack unless you crouch cancel. But again, you start crouch canceling, you're more than 0. You're like negative as fuck at that point because you're moving. You're not taking your turn accordingly, you know. So don't be afraid to throw in some down 1s, some down 2s in there. Really good move to use on guard. Again, it causes a knockdown counter hit, and you can get some Oki off of that. So this is a really, really good move. I generally like to do stuff like this. You'll see me do stuff like this. You know, you'll see me do stuff like this into down back 1. So another move I want to talk about is down back 1. You'll hear Lars players all day say don't use this move. I don't really give a fuck. If I'm going to get cracked for doing down back 4, I might as well get cracked for doing down back 1-3. You know what I mean? If you block this, I'm dead, right? The good thing about down back 1-3 is that you don't have to commit to down back 1-3. You can just do down back 1 and stay safe. Down back 1 is still negative on guard, if I'm not mistaken, to be punished, but you're not going to get lost. If someone blocks your down back 1-3, that's a high. So you're going to get clobbered for that. They're going to fuck you up. You know what I mean? What the fuck am I choking on? You said I casually have 1 million followers on TikTok? Yeah, I did light skin shit on there for some time, and I was shaking my dick on there. Anyways, yeah, so down back 1-3 is super good, in my opinion. It's a natural combo, again, which, as you can see, it's -1 on hit. But the good thing about this move is that it goes into his new little crouching stance. You know what I mean? So, this move is really super good because it goes into his stance. And if people are button happy right here and they're not doing the right buttons, I'm going to hit 2 out of this and I'm going to clobber you because that's a high crush, right? It's -1. This is a 16 frame startup, so you want to be careful hitting buttons out of this, if I'm being honest with you. If you get this, you're safe on hit. It's a good move to get... I like to use this move to get people to do something. As soon as you get people to start respecting Lars' lows, then you start fucking them up with orbitals and shit. I'll be doing shit like this. I'll crouch in their face, and I'll hit them with a full crouch down for... Well, this move is ass now, in my opinion. Because you have to be fully crouched holding down now. You can't just be fully crouched down for 1+2. They took that away. I hate that. That's why, honestly, you barely see Lars players doing this unless they're already buffering it in, which is really fucking difficult to do that. Tekken has, like, no buffer window, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah. This move is really good, in my opinion, because you can use that to get people to start hitting buttons and hit them with the orbital. In my opinion, the #1 mission for me, outside of staying completely safe with Lars, is to get people to duck. The reason why you can get people to duck is because... He's got lows. The problem is with his lows is that unless they're landing on counter hit like this, you just got plus frames, which there's no different than anybody else in this game. Everybody in this game, for the most part, has some kind of low that's going to clobber you, but not really kill you unless it's on counter hit. You don't do down... As soon as you hold it, that's accessible. Wow, that's a good cheat. Damn, that's pretty godlike, actually. Wow, you got to hold it for 1 frame and you're in there. Damn. Oh, shit, man. Damn, that shit got me hard just now. Okay. Anyways... yeah, down back 4. One of Lars's, you'll hear all day, yeah, Lars players don't use down back 4. Bro, what? How are you going to tell me not to use down back 4 if motherfuckers are using Victor's down back 4 and it's 1 frame slower? I get it, it's reactable, but you got to use the move. you got to use the move. You have to, guys. You got to use the fucking move. You have to. It's got to be incorporated in there. You can't. You really are not going to be super effective with this character unless you're using it, because he doesn't have any other counter hitting lows like that for real. You know what I mean? You got to use it. So don't be afraid to use down back 4. But what I'm going to say is you got to get good at timing it. You really have to get good at timing this, because at higher levels, people are going to block that and they're going to binge you over. You got to be careful. I will say that it is cool going into full crouch and getting people to duck, because you can throw the orbital in there. The orbital is 25 frames on startup. Really good players are going to look at you do that. It's really hard to hit a really good player with an orbital when they're crouching, because they're going to stand up into it, even though it does take a little bit to stand up. You'll hit a lot of people with orbitals on the internet, but in offline, people are going to block these shits a lot. So be careful with using an orbital, and it can be stepped, right? So you got Arc Blast, right? Arc Blast is a 15 frame startup, and it's your 15 frame Punisher. You got a lot of moves that are minus 15. I want to say, are hop kicks minus 15, or some of them, right? Or some of them minus 12. I forget what the math is on hop kicks, but no. You're not going to punish a hop kick with the Arc Blast. You can punish a Rage Art with an Arc Blast. If somebody does a Rage Art to you on guard, you can punish it with an Arc Blast. So one thing that I love about Lars that you can't do with Raven is that Raven has to really, I got to do forward 3 to launch that shit, right? I can just punish a Rage Art with this. A lot of shit doesn't punish Rage Arts because they made them less negative on guard in this game. But if you get Rage Art on guard, you can indeed punish it with an Arc Blast, so keep that in mind. Not to mention, Arc Blast is really good to do if you're good at stepping, because people will do a lot of, it's a 15 frame startup. So if you catch somebody on whip recovery from a DF1 or something like that, you'll even be able to clock them with like one of these or something, you know. Arc Blast is pretty good. Don't use this move, ever. I know you guys have never seen me even input this. This move is ass. You might as well just use down back 4, fella. This move is butt. This motherfucker, come on, man. Like, that move is butt. You're not going to hit anybody good with that move, bro. 4-2-4 is your 12 frame punish. Really good punish, in my opinion, because it causes a knockdown. Lars has, like, built-in Oki in this game. I really love 4-3-3. His old 4-3-3 was cool. It was +5, I think, on guard. But it had no tracking properties. Motherfuckers were stepping that for free. In this game, 4-3-3 is not only as a +1 guard, remember that, that's a big tool. +1 guard, but it homes, it's a mid, it's a heat engager. This move is kind of cracked. I'm not going to lie, this move is kind of cracked. Okay? Not going to lie, it's kind of cracked. Yeah, back forward 2-1 is 14 frames. I am not an expert enough to the point where I'm getting those punishes off. I have to get to that point. It might take me some time to get there. But, yo, really crazy Lars players. Like, really crazy. Like, I got Kazoki, whatever his name is, Kazoki Lars. I watch him from time to time. That motherfucker punishes shit with this. He's really good at that. I ain't on that level. If I'm not doing a 4-2-4, a 2-1, or an Arc Blast, I probably ain't going to punish it with anything else, to be honest with you guys. Yeah. You got down back 2-1. I always tell people to use this move because it's safe on guard. You can see that shit covers a really good amount of ground. And it's a natural combo on hit. Mid, natural combo on hit, you might as well throw it out. It's -8 on block. You can still sit there and take your time and play defense, you know what I mean? Let me see what else we got. Forward 4. So, some people were saying the 4-4-4 got nerfed in this game. I don't agree. This got nerfed. This used to be negative on hit back in Tekken Tag 2. And I think for some time in Tekken 7 it was negative on hit. But why would you use that when you can use this? So if you hit forward 2, he automatically goes into an uncancelable dynamic entry. But the reason why I love this is because that's a frame trap. If you do forward 2 and hit 2 again, 2 out of dynamic entry is safe on guard. It's -7. It's a mid, ground hitting mid on top of that, and it's a counter hit launcher. Really good to do this. This is a straight up, if you press a button, you're getting clocked. It's a built-in frame trap. Think about it. My 4-4-4-2 is what? +9? That means that my follow-up out of dynamic entry from here, shit. That's really fast. That's fucking, what is that? My math is ass, why I became a cop. But that's 9 frames, I believe. Is it 9 frames or is it 8 frames? Yeah, that's why I became a cop. I want to say, it's 8 or 9 frames, whatever the fucking case is. They can't do anything. Now, you can get flashed out of this, right? Does it jail? Yeah, no, you're not doing anything out of this. Trust me, if a brother hits a button out of this, I don't care if you're knee, I don't care if you're JDCR, you press a button there, you're getting clocked. There's nothing you can do about that. You're getting hit here. Now, I don't know if you can sidestep or not. I never tested that. But the issue with doing that is that Lars has way too many options from here now. You know what I mean? Like, as soon as you start trying to evade and sidestep and shit like that, like, I have other stuff that I can do, you know? Not to mention, I can hit 3 again after that. Now, be careful hitting 3 after this, because this does not jail enough to the point where you're going to be able to do that. That's 22 frames. It's plus 9, but 22 frames you can get hit here. The idea for me is to hit somebody with 4-4-4-2, and then make them respect the 2. Once you get them to respect the 2, you can go wild on their fucking ass. You can start doing shit like this. You know what I mean? You can start doing shit like this. You know what I mean? You can start going into his new stances and fucking them up. You can start going wild on their ass, but you gotta get them to respect it first. So that's why I say 90% of the time you should go to hit 2. Let's see what else we got here. Dynamic entry is really good, obviously. Another tool that a lot of people ain't really using that much with Lars in this game. This move, even though it's a high, very quick recovery on whiff as well. But as you can see, it's plus 1 on guard. Now, plus 1 is not the biggest thing in Tekken. You can still move, whatever. But you press a button, I'm going to clobber you. I'm going to clobber you for it. My DF1 becomes 12 frames. My jab becomes 9 frames. Really, really good. I've been using this more lately. I've been coming from like mid-screen and pop people with this. You know what I mean? It's plus 1. It used to be -1, I think, on guard, but now it's plus 1. So, when you do dynamic entry now, you actually have a low that's not the low that I liked. I think it might have been a little too broken, and that's why I think they switched it. Because if Lars was able to do 4-3-3 guys and have this, he used to be. Do you guys remember when he could do this in Tekken 7? Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. It's hard because they run in this game now. But that was the thing. He used to be able to do dynamic entry into this. Bro, if Lars could do that, bro, that would be astronomically crazy. They did away with that shit. That wasn't happening again. But he still has access to a low out of this. He can do 4, which is his 1-4 essentially. It's the same data, right? Same data. And the cool thing about 4 is that it's plus 1, and also Lars can go into a stance. That's the crouching stance. So you don't always have to press a button after this, guys. You can block. The only time I would ever recommend doing a button out of this is if someone is doing highs and not respecting you, because this is a high crush. But other than that, yo, Mark Vagar, only children play these games. Shut the fuck up. Nobody asked you, bitch. Anyways, be careful with hitting buttons after plus 1 going into that stance. It's not the greatest thing to do because he doesn't have that many great options. Both of these options actually go under highs as well. The 1 from this, and oh, not that. It's hard because you gotta press it. Damn it. What the fuck? Why is it not doing it? There it is. They both go under highs. But this is the better option that goes under highs, in my opinion, because this doesn't counter hit launch. This one right here doesn't counter hit launch. When you're in heat, though, if you're probably confused, a lot of people are like, yo, how come he launches you sometimes, how come he doesn't? It's because in heat, it gives you the launch. And that does a pretty good amount of damage. And also, too, in heat, that becomes a launcher, right? Not on normal hit, though. What else do we got? Let's see what else you got. You got this, which, again, you already seen from this. Don't get overwhelmed with Lars, guys. A lot of people get overwhelmed with Lars because they're like, oh, all these moves and stances, guys. Please, okay? It's just dynamic entry. 4-4-4-2 goes into dynamic entry. You can go into dynamic entry by itself. Let's see what else you got. Back 3 goes into silent entry. So dynamic entry, the easiest way to remember this when you're hearing this shit, dynamic, just think high. Dynamic is like, oh, it's dynamic, it's extra, right? Silent, clearly he's going to be sneaking up on your ass. So that's when he starts dipping his head low. Lars can only access this low stance out of silent entry. He can't do it from here. He has to be in silent entry to do it. Or off of certain moves like down back 1-3, you know what I'm saying? 1-4 or 4, you know what I'm saying, in a stance out of dynamic entry. He can do it off of a couple of different things. But you're only going to be able to access that stance off of certain things. And again, do not get overwhelmed with it. There's not that many things going on here that you think. He has 3 stances, but the thing about it is that how many moves does he have out of his stances? When he's in this stance, he's got 2, he's got 1. You can also cancel into while standing 4, or you can cancel into 3. which you're not really going to see people hitting 3 from that. They're mostly going to do 2, 1, or 4. But there's not that many things going on, and that's from this one. Remember, low stance, you don't got that many things going on there, right? Another thing to note from dynamic entry is that Lars can go backwards into dynamic entry as well. So a lot of people are like, yo, I don't get what's going on with all these stances and moving around. This is the same stance. This right here, so when Lars goes into dynamic entry by hitting forward 3, or by going into it by anything at all, if you hit back once he does it, he goes into another dynamic entry. So picture it like this. Once you activate dynamic entry, that's the way you get into all of your stances. You can go backwards into another dynamic entry, or you can go forward into silent entry, which also has the ability to go backwards again or trigger the low stance. So ready? See? It's really not that much. Just remember this is the same thing as everything else. He's really going into the same stances over and over again. The only part of Lars that I'll say is difficult to understand is understanding how to maneuver with these stances. And for me, because I've been a Lars player for some time, it wasn't that hard, but it was new. It was different. You gotta fuck around with these stances a little bit, you know? But just remember, once you go into the low stance, you're in dead water. You either have to do an option out of it or block. Once you do this, you can't go into any more stances. Once you go down here, you're there, right? But yeah, it's really not that difficult. So out of dynamic entry, you got dynamic entry 1, which I already told you is +1 on guard. This is also a natural combo on hit, and it's a heat engager, as you can see, right? You got forward 3-3, which is a heat engager. That's the one that tracks, and I told you super good. Dynamic entry 2, which is a safe counter hit mid launcher, which I want to show you. Also, will pick you up off the ground. So if you're ever facing an annoying motherfucker that's laying on the floor a lot, pop him in the mouth with this shit. Bitch. Bitch. Get the fuck up, and then pop him in the face with that, right? Do not be afraid to do forward 3-3 and abuse that shit. The reason why is because it's really fucking good. It's that good of a move. This one, it is plus on hit, but it only launches on counter hit. The only way you're gonna get by is that if you hit a button and get clobbered. It launches, but only on counter hit. Let's see what else we got here. Silent entry. He's got 4. So he does have a difference out of silent entry, which, as you can see, you see how he glows like he's fucking like he's smoking on fire or something like that? That means he's doing a power crush. Same thing here. Same thing there. It is a high power crush. So meaning, if you're defending against Lars and he does the low or the high, you're gonna beat both options. You cover 2 options with one block, right? Out of silent entry, you do have to be careful with that one. You will get fucked up by that one, especially in this game. This move is really bad to get hit by in this game. It's a heat engager on hit. It wall splats, and you will get launched and fucking tornadoed afterwards. And it's completely safe on guard with pushback. As you can see, -6, you're not doing shit. And in heat, don't get hit. Silent entry. That move is ass. Okay? And my entire career, which hasn't been long for Tekken, but that shit does not hit anyone. The reason why is because people that are better at this game are going to start stepping Lars. As soon as Lars starts doing all this ninja, light-skinned, fucking acrobatic, fucking Power Ranger shit, they're going to start stepping. And most likely get hit by one of the weaker moves in the stance, which this one, on hit, it's good, it's plus, but what's next? You get what I'm saying? It doesn't launch you. Now listen, if Lars was like any other broken character in this game and that launched you a normal hit, all day, yeah, you know, you got to fucking guard, but you really don't need to, because there really ain't nothing going on that you got to be afraid of. Like, it only launches you on counter hit. How do you feel about down back 2 silent entry? I think it's good, but you have to be careful when you use it. A really good player is going to interrupt it. The only reason why I'll give it the benefit of the doubt is for 2 reasons. Because you can do a power crush out of it if they try to press a button. And because he has down back 2-1. It's a natural combo, like I said, on normal hit and on counter hit. And it's safe on guard. So they can't just deal with it completely. It's going to take a Tekken expert, for real, to stop you from doing this. Because he's just got too many good options. And he can charge this up, which... that's just ass. No one's going to let you live with that, if I'm being honest with you. I got clobbered for using that shit every time. Out of sound entry. So one really good thing that he does have out of sound entry in this game is this. Let me see if I can just do it this way. So as you can see, that move on guard is 0. Remember I told you about 0 being super good. Same thing with this move, right? The good thing about that move is that it causes the same properties as this. You see how Jin is down here? Even though it's 0, it's kind of plus in Lars' favor because Lars is standing. I have my fastest options when Jin is limited to doing while standing options. Which if I know that there's fast options from while standing. I know that you can do like a while standing 4, which is generally like 11 frames. But yeah, no. This is very strong. This is very strong, especially if you get people to start respecting his sound entry. But again, this is all stuff that you can just block for real. You know what I'm saying? If it hits you, okay, you're knocked down, but you're not getting juggled. You know what I'm saying? So realistically, if you guys are not noticing, why are you ducking Lars here? Because it is? Why would you want to get hit by this? Why would you want to get hit by this? Why would you want to get hit by this? Because you don't want to get normal? Because you don't want to get normal hit by that? That is in, guys, be honest, as fighting game players, is it worth getting hit by this? On normal hit. On normal hit, is it worth getting hit by this? +6? Okay. What's next? What am I going to do? I don't have a throw mix-up. If you're good at Tekken, you're going to break my generic or my 1+2 throw. So therefore, we're back in the same spot we just were. You know what I'm saying? Like, getting hit by Lars in his stances is your fault. It's your fault. You know? So the good thing about sound entry, like I said, is that you can go into this. And he has access to some shit. But again, let's talk about the crouching stance. What is he doing from here? A low of some sort and a mid of some sort. He's doing it in every stance. Every stance. The issue is that, yeah, there's layers to it, but the layers kind of all lead into the same spot. You know? Instant run grab mix? No, I would not try to do that from there, because as soon as you start doing that, you're changing your frame advantage. If I hit you with this from here, and I try to run and grab you, like, yeah, sure, but I'm not +6 anymore. Then I'm moving. Now I'm like +1 or like -2. Then I'm going to get popped in my fucking mouth. If you're going to throw from here, just throw from standing. You know? Throw from standing. You can throw from standing. You can buffer ring his throws, but be prepared to get them broken. For real, no really good Tekken player is going to let you grab them right there. I'm just being honest. There's a guy, Dodo Flump, in the chat. You cannot grab that guy. I cannot grab that guy with Lars. It doesn't matter what I do. Not grabbing that guy. So, yes, he's got some options there, but they're not as bad as they really seem. This is one of those characters that, yeah, you got to lab against, but it's not as bad as it may seem, right? Just, you know, some quality of life stuff. Obviously, you got Orbital. Don't be afraid to throw out an Orbital every now and then. Don't get too aggressive with it because it can be stepped. And it is generally slow. It's 25 frames, but it is a normal hitting launcher, and you can get some nasty-ass combos from it. You know, you can get some pretty cool pretty good damage from it. Orbital's pretty good. He's got some other cool combos you can do from that too. I forget the other combo. Oh no, that's right. You got to do. This one's pretty good too. Kind of hard to buffer this one though. You got to buffer the fuck. Oh, there it is. That shit's hard to buffer, brother. That's just hard to get in. It's hard to buffer that one. But yeah, the forward combos. You can use forward and combos too. It is kind of hard to get it because if you don't do it the right timing, you're gonna get forward. You got to be careful with that. So you can do combos with it. Another move, I got to tell you about it. Lars does have a variation of a hop kick. This does crush highs and a lot of lows, and some mids in certain instances, depending on where the frame data is. But you will die for doing this. Not against everybody. Shit, I've even seen top players not punish this shit. If you're getting pressured out the ass and you need like a last resort, don't turn into one of the Lars players that are going trying to just keep spamming it. If it doesn't work the first time, bro, just block, please. Like, but it's not bad to just throw out and try to sneak in there every now and then because it does lead to a pretty cool combo. You get some pretty good damage off of this in this game. You can probably even do something even better than that. Oh, that's good. Damn, that's good damage right there. Okay. Yeah, up forward 3, which, yo, did they take away Lars' ability to do it backwards? Wow, did they do away with... Oh, they did away with that completely. I can still do my backwards orbital, but it doesn't launch at all. Wow, they did away with up back 3. The one that goes backwards, they did away with that shit. Interesting. Unless you could never do that. Maybe I'm tripping. I don't know why I remember. Yo, Avengers, what up, man? LD Wells, what's going on? Hey, yo, Jaxel T Gaming, what up, man? Yo, Deodorant, what's going on, man? Let's see here. If you want to be ballsy and you catch somebody ducking, if you're fighting a habitual ducker, I mean, only really do this if they're ducking hard. And if that's the point, you might as well orbital because it's safe. But you can throw in a forward too. You know what I mean? I wouldn't do it if I was you, but I'm not you. You might want to throw it in there. I already went over down back 4. Be careful with Lars and negative transitions on block. I see a lot of Lars players doing this shit on block. This is not good on block. Please don't do that. You're going to get hit. No one's going to let you do this shit on guard, okay? The reason why is because, yes, you can cancel it, but why would you do that when you can just do 2-1? If I'm giving you guys any tips on spamming something with Lars, spam this. 2-1, spam the fuck out of this. Spam the fuck out of this. It's a high mid, natural combo on hit, leads into a stance, especially if you're plus, right? I'm plus 8 right there. This move now becomes 8 frames. That means they can't press anything. You're not pressing anything right there. Down 3-1-1. I would not recommend using this move at all. Unless you're in a situation, like I'll show you a situation where it could be useful. On counter hit, it's a natural combo, but why would you even, you know what I'm saying? Why even go for that when you have so many other better natural combos you can do? It is a low startup, but again, you might as well just do down by 3-1 in my opinion. Like, throwing this shit out of neutral is just not the way. But it does have some secret ninja tech you can do with on the wall. If you're fighting a person who doesn't like teching up off the floor at all against the wall, this will connect. So you can do stuff like this. Damn it, I didn't do that. Damn it. I hate the way that does that. I gotta be like off axis to get it to work. See what I'm saying? You can get certain situations with it to work, but if they tech right there, you're fucked. They're gonna get up and clock you in the back of the head because that's not guaranteed, right? There are some cool combos you can do with it here, but again, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? That's just not gonna work. Yeah, like that shit has no... In my opinion, that move has no fucking utility, guys. I'm just being honest with you. Let's see. I mean, I don't really think... Oh, and another little thing that you gotta learn with Lars in this game, because it's very prevalent. Up forward 3+4 has gotten so much better. Hey, yo, Agma Plus, man, thank you for the follow, bro. UBO Official, what up, man? How you doing, my brother? Welcome to the stream. Up forward 3+4. This is a command throw break. It's a 1+2 break. You can catch people off guard with that. You can do stuff like dynamic entry feints into that shit, and they'll get confused, right? You can do dynamic entry feints into the kick one. So the kick will only connect on an opponent that's not blocking or an opponent that's guarding low. If they're stand guarding, this is not going to land, but that's when you start throwing this in there. Keep in mind, really good players, they're just going to either break the 1+2 in reaction because Lars has no mix-up out of that. It's either the 1+2 throw or the kick. However, there are some other options that you can get, like this move on guard into this. It has some weird, janky situation where if they press any buttons for the most part, this is going to auto-correct with them and land. This shit has some weird crushing properties in this game. Also, too, there are some situations where you can get some combos with that situation, too. So, let me see if I can do an easy one real quick. There it is, right there. So, as you can see, it does call that cool little combo ender. Pretty good high damage on that, but just be careful of that down forward 3 shit into the whole up forward 3 thing, because that shit will fucking fuck you over in combo sometimes. I mean, you know, you got back 3, which, as you can see, back 3 is a really, really good whiff punisher. I wouldn't use back 3-4 unless you know you're going to whiff punish with it. I would use this instead because it's completely safe and it's got a really good hitbox on it. Somebody ducks that, you're dead. But as soon as you get them to start ducking, unless they try to step or something, you can go into your sound entry stuff. So I wouldn't recommend doing that because, again, I've been blown up for trying to do that shit to people on block. They're not really going to let that happen. But yeah, I mean, Lars has some really good options. Down forward 3, another one. This move is super bad to do on guard, depending on the situation. If you're not far enough away, they can actually punish this. Some characters can punish that, I think. It goes into your silent entry. I mean, it goes into your dynamic entry and silent entry into the new crouching stance. Again, look at what Lars is doing. As soon as Lars starts to transition out of that, he's negative, right? So, again, you're not going to deal with this really much at low ranks, people blowing that up. But if you get into, like, the god ranks doing this shit here, they're going to blow you up for that. Same thing here. Same thing here. Be careful with the transitions on guard. Risking trying to get a hit confirm off of that, it's just not really worth it. You know what I mean? Because it's just not. They're gonna blow you up on block for doing this shit. But yeah, man, Lars is cool in this game, man. Definitely learned the little Lars wave dash thing. It comes in handy, especially with certain situations like me. I'll do this here, and this kind of auto meaties jumps over wake up kicks if people lay on the floor. Depending on certain times, this will actually connect if they extend their hurt box at all. In Tekken, if you move while you're on the floor, your hurt box is completely different if you were to lay there. You try to roll, shit will connect. It wouldn't connect if you were to just lay there. So you'll see me do a lot of this out of this situation. You can just throw that shit right out right there too. I'll do two depending on if I know my opponent's tech time. Like if I'm doing this and I do it twice, that means I know that they're delaying tech. Or sometimes I'll float right over them depending on if they don't move at all. But don't be afraid to do that right here, especially because you have dynamic entry too. Remember I was telling you about that. A motherfucker likes laying on the floor after that, you got this completely safe ground hitting lead. You know what I mean? It hits grounded, it's a safe counter hit move on block, and it's really not a bad option to use at all. But don't be afraid of that wave dash. Now, I will say that the wave dash is a little scarier in this game than it was in 7, because this move here is a way better forward 3-3 than before because it actually homes and it's a heat engager. But it's not as plus on block as his old 4-3-3. His old 4-3-3 I think was +5 on guard, but it was mad linear. Motherfuckers were stepping that shit for free. But he does have a low still at his disposal. Again, in Tekken 7, he had the ability to do dynamic entry into this. They took that away because imagine dealing with this or that is insane. They weren't going to let us do that. But you can still mix people up with these low options, especially because he can go into other stuff. While standing 2-1 and be +2. Or I'm going to take my wild standing 2 or my wild standing 4. Damn, and that's his quickest wild standing punish like the wild standing 4. So, nah, that's OD as fuck, dog. I'm just trying to give people like a little Lars crash course.